Hey, what's up? Usman here, and it's time for a new development update with regards to my game Wrath the Mad King, an action RPG with a top-down view that I'm currently working on. I've been working on this game for 2 years now almost, and it's getting really close to something that I can share with everyone. And so I thought today was a cool moment to brief you on what I've been working on. It's a lot. The first thing that I've been working on is a destructible system. I really love to destroy stuff, and I'm sure you guys like to do that in games too. So now there's a system in place that either takes account for a perfect version of a destructible, a damaged version, and a destroyed version, all with physics. So I can set for each of these destructibles how many shots it takes for it to destroy, and also when it should be in a damaged state. And for now, they don't spawn loot yet, but there's also an option for those destructibles to have some loot in there, which will be random, of course. Same with the loot in boxes that you can find along the way. Now, next to these three phases, of course, I worked also on some particles to make it feel like there's actually something happening. And yeah, it's just really cool to see stuff explode and also stay in the level, because the cool way about a semi-open world is that you have a lot of playroom with like memory wise, because you don't have to load in lots of big levels. So that's a great way to change the level around. And also some of these bigger parts, they become static colliders, so the player has to move around them, which is a really cool feel in my opinion. The next thing that I've been working on is a reload/recharge system. I actually felt like it was too easy for the player to shoot, to be able to shoot all the time. So I thought about a reload system, but then it was like, okay, then I have to include all kind of ammo in the world, and that's just not that much fun. So I made a bit of a recharge system. It's actually just a max amount of shots, which will then go down, and when it's on 0, then you have to recharge the weapon, so the weapon needs to heat up. And I made it in a way that I just made a lot of recharge sounds, and they have a certain kind of time, and each weapon also has a certain kind of amount of shots to be fired at a certain fire rate, but also a time that it takes to recharge the weapon. And I think that's just a really cool way to just give it a bit more of a tactical feel to the game. Also included into the HUD of the player. So at the bottom right, you can see which weapon you're carrying, and also how long it is to recharge, and also how many shots you can fire. So I think it's a really cool new addition to the game in my opinion. The thing that I've been working on the most for the past few months is actually the level design. I've been revamping the outdoor nature levels quite a bit. Now they got, next to lots of graphical updates, also got a few new features, which is firstly the grass bending. So now whenever the player or a creature walks through the grass does bend, which is a really cool little detail, I think. And next up, we also have a wetness system, like a wetness and puddle system. So whenever there's rain, the floor becomes less dry, or wet in a way. And also there's much more wind and stuff going on, much more wind particles. The weather really affects the world that you're walking around in, which I think really cool. Now there are also some sand levels, some snow levels. So what happens when you walk through the sand and the snow? You get some tracks. So I made that as well. So you get some footprints behind you. This doesn't only account for the player, but also for all the creatures. So you can see if there's some tracks laying around, then you know that there's probably a creature there, which is, I think, a really cool extra addition to the world. Most of the exterior levels now have gone through the second phase of development. So the exterior levels are really getting close to the final product, and then it's just a matter of adding cool stuff in them, because I really want to have each individual level have their own kind of feel and their own kind of play style. Another thing that I've been working on quite a bit is a clutter and rubbish system. Not literally rubbish, but actually literally rubbish. And that's to scatter around objects, and it's actually more of a scatter system, a random scatter system, because I felt like the city of Real was too clean. I mean, people leave rubbish everywhere nowadays, so I felt like that should be included in the game as well. So I made a system that on each floor tile there can be a random position or a random object being spawned there, which I made into prefab. So every time you enter the city, that gets being called, so there will always be random clutter laying around, which is just a cool way of just those small things make up the world feel alive, you know what I mean? One of the things that you'll be looking in the game too is actually the player. So I always felt a bit let down by how the animations were working because I always felt a little bit off. So I'm really glad I discovered root motion. Root motion is actually making the animations dictate the speed of the player. So now you can see the player has a much more natural movement because it's always dictated by the animations and not by any script. So this is for me a really great way to keep the movement natural but also keep the player grounded and have some more technical things, because when you go straight forward and back, the player has to turn around first before going backwards. So it's a really cool way to add some more realistic vibes for the player, because that's the thing you're going to be looking at the most. Talking about the player, there's also a new backpack that's being worked on, a backpack that will be firstly also being used as, of course, storage, but also as a flashlight, which will be animated, because I feel like it's a cool way to don't just use a flashlight, but also have it as a little bit of a companion. And in the future, I'm also going to be including some upgrades to it, so you can use it as a companion to actually shoot your enemies. So that should be fun, but that's still in the works. Now, finally, and I think you're gonna like this one, is I've overhauled the quests in the first demo that I've made a few months back, because I felt like one of the major things that I took away from the feedback that I got from Steam, from players in the Steam Fest, was that the quests were a bit too much going back and forth and they weren't too clear where you had to go. So now there's a new playtest where the quests have been overhauled and you can play all of these features that I mentioned in the levels that you've been playing in the demo. You can now try these yourself in the new playtest, which is available on my Discord. So head over to my Discord and playtest the game. I'm really looking forward to hear what you think about the changes, and just mainly gather your thoughts and help me grow this game together. It would be really awesome to do this all together on Discord. But that's all for the development update of Wrath of the Mad King. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you join me on this journey of making this game as awesome as I can. If you haven't already, wishlist the game below on Steam. Will really help me as a developer out a lot. If you want to be the first to know about new things with regards to the game or anything creative I do, head over to Discord. You can also find my Patreon there. You can find some cool people to interact with. Discord is a great social hub for me to interact with all of you, and it's just really cool to see this community grow. But that's all for me this week. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.